right. So how do you feel, Kayleen? We haven't done the part that I'm not looking forward to.
My husband's great. He really is. He's very respectful to me. I mean, he spoils me. He takes care of me.
I am getting pretty close to that time. This is what I got to do. I don't even question it anymore. At this point, I don't know what's going to happen. I may get caught right away. I mean, I could basically be dead in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I don't know. It's all in the chance at this point.
Hey guys. Nice, look at all that smoke. Oh my gosh.
Though his family didn't yet know it, something was off with Peter Keller. What follows is found footage that just might be some of the most disturbing recordings ever filmed. Documented like a YouTube video, the video diaries Peter created provide a rare glimpse into the mind of a killer and document how something that may have begun as an innocent hobby ultimately manifested as unbelievable cruelty.
Here, thinking about stuff. How did I get so...
The majority of the following footage has never been seen before. It has been analyzed by a licensed professional counselor.
Okay. Looks like everything's working. Just checking the camera out. Since it's the first time watching myself, I hate watching myself. So, man, that's the way other people see me. So it's gonna take some getting used to. Not used to talking into a camera. Let's see, so here you can look at the trail. There's not much of a trail. I try to keep it as hidden as I can, so other people will stay off of it, which has worked so far. It's pretty far out, so nobody's been up here yet. I usually come up with between a 30 and 40 pound pack. Every time I bring a load of something up, actually starting to get a lot up here. Try to make it as easy as I can during the transition time. So far I've got a bed, blow-up bed, mattress, with blankets and pillows and clothes and stuff to keep me comfortable. So we'll see how long I last doing this. I don't know.
Just what exactly?
The chilling contrast between Lynette's love for Peter and his secret diaries leaves me speechless. How could a man described as a devoted husband and father hide such darkness? While filming in the woods, his casual tone feels like a mask, hinting at something sinister beneath. This case reminds us how well people can conceal their true intentions, even from those closest to them. It's a gut punch to think Lynette and Ken had no idea what was coming. As we dive deeper, we'll see how Peter's actions unravel a tragedy that's hard to comprehend.
That works good.
This impressive structure, affectionately nicknamed Camp Keller, was what kept Peter occupied in the woods for so long. Disguised as part of the hillside, the only thing that might give its presence away is a temporary tarp stretched over part of the roof, but Peter took care to conceal that with brush.
This is something I wanted to do probably since I was a teenager, to make a home underground somewhere so I don't have to live around people. One of my projects today is to take all this wood that I've cut up recently and stack it up, pull it down, so if somebody stumbles out here, it not as noticeable. Just now I have the means, I'm able to actually pay for it. I've spent a lot of money on this so far, thousands of dollars. Thousands more on guns and other stuff, other hardware I'm going to need. Everything I can think of.
The bunker was a shocking feat of engineering, considering all of Peter's supplies were either gathered from the forest around him or carried in from his house, which was about an hour's hike away.
This is kind of an outside look. My wood pile on this side.
In addition to the tools and materials he needed to build the bunker, Peter carried a significant amount of food, drinks, and creature comforts into the camp. He brought enough to set up a kitchenette, complete with an emergency vodka stash. The entire complex was powered with a generator, which Peter somehow managed to bring up the mountain. He even went out of his way to engineer a wood-burning stove made out of an inverted metal garbage can. He rigged a chimney to funnel the smoke up and out of the residence. This smoke would ultimately provide a valuable clue as to the camp's location. Other highlights of Peter's stash include multiple 5-gallon buckets, which could not have been easy to move, heavy-duty chains, and a hacksaw. But as impressive.
Let's see. I met him when I was in high school, but I just, wasn't interested. And then I met him again. And he was so sweet, became like best friends. He said one of these days he wanted to get married and have kids. And he asked me what I wanted. And I said, oh, I want to get married. So then my sister, we were getting along at the time. She really liked him. And she said, well, you got to just, you're going to regret it if you don't. So I was like, okay. Then 3 months later, he started talking to me about marriage. And I was like, dude, I told you I don't want to get married. Stop pressuring me. We've only officially been together for 3 months. He actually started within a month. And I was just like, no, you got to stop. So finally, a little over 3 months, he asked me to marry him. I was like, of course I'll marry you. And I grabbed the ring and put it on my finger. I was just so excited.
Jesus.
That's my story of my husband, who is my husband, who's the love of my life.
At this point, I don't know what's going to happen. I may get caught right away. I mean, I could basically be dead in 2 weeks or 3.
Lynette's story about falling in love with Peter breaks my heart. She saw him as her soulmate, yet he was planning something unthinkable. His cryptic talk of getting caught or being dead in weeks sends shivers down my spine. Was he already plotting murder? How he spoke about dropping out of society feels like a man unraveling, consumed by resentment. It's a stark reminder that mental health struggles, left unchecked, can spiral into devastation. Let's keep watching to understand how this loving family became a target.
Peter's complaints are all too common, but could indicate the presence of major depressive disorder. Additionally, Peter is doing a lot of fidgeting in this video, signifying that despite what he's saying out loud, his thoughts might be giving him a lot of anxiety. Perhaps this stems from the fact that, as some of Peter's cryptic comments hint, there's a much darker aspect to his fantasy than he lets on.
Well, I wanted to get a video log in because we haven't done part that I'm not looking forward to. I'm getting pretty close to that time. I'm guessing probably a couple months away, maybe 3. So yeah, I know I can, once I do this, I could either die then, maybe something will happen, or a few days or weeks, or maybe even years. My goal is to make it 10 years, but that's the other hard part. Either to not care about dying and to still care about the project.
Peter's comment that he wants to survive for 10 years out in the woods complicates an already strange situation even further. He isn't just aiming to leave his day-to-day life and job behind. There are Lynette and Kayleen to think about, and so far, he hasn't shown any interest of bringing them along on his adventure.
Go ahead and open this. Oh my goodness. You are so sweet. You guys, sorry I'm whispering. My husband's sleeping and our little doggy's sleeping with him. Last time I was doing a video, I was talking too loud and he woke up and came out here.
Part of me has a hard time even imagining doing what I'm going to do. But as I think about it, I always come up to the same conclusion every time. I'm starting to get more okay with it. Other times I feel like I'm more than ready. I've tried to make it in this world, and it just isn't happening. I'm 40 now, and I am running out of time. I don't even question it anymore. It just seems like everything makes so much sense now. You know, just the more I've thought about it, the more I understand it. I don't really feel bad about it. It's just the way it is.
One of the first mysteries police faced when they became involved in the situation on April 22, 2012. It was a quiet day in the mobile home park where the Keller family lived when, seemingly out of nowhere, several neighbors heard what they believed to be an explosion. When they saw flames coming out of the windows of the Keller home, the neighbors summoned the fire department. Firefighters swarmed the home, climbing on top of it, even as the blaze ate through the roof. They had no idea just how seriously they were risking their lives until later. Once the fire was doused and investigators entered the residence, they discovered Peter Keller was nowhere to be found. Iwu spoke with Cindy West, a retired police sergeant who worked on the Keller case, in an exclusive interview.
I was actually the public information officer, and I think it was a weekend, because I was actually heading out of town, and I got the phone call. So I turned around, came back into town, and arrived up there in North Bend, and then the investigation started there. And as the investigation went on, it just snowballed from what the heck happened to, wow, this is bigger than I think anybody thought at the start.
For those of you who aren't familiar, a public information officer handles all inquiries about an active case, providing private citizens as well as the media with information that's been approved for release. As such, Cindy was intimately familiar with the inner workings of the Keller case. The day of the fire, tracking down Peter became the police's highest priority. In just a few hours, they located his vehicle parked downtown. The keys were left inside, but there was no evidence as to where he might have gone. When they entered his workplace to ask where Peter might be, all his co-workers could offer was that Peter had already left for the day and had stated that he might be back tomorrow, next week, or possibly never. Police also discovered that Peter had recently withdrawn $6,200 from the family bank account. Everything suggested that Peter was either in danger, running, or both. For now, police had no idea where he could be hiding. But they weren't clueless for long. Police got lucky when searching Peter's home and unearthed a hard drive containing Peter's video diaries. Combined with what else was discovered in the residence, the investigation went from serious to downright bone-chilling.
Well, before, a while ago, I used to sit here and think, this whole thing is just crazy at times, and then I'd think about it, and it would make sense, and it's like, okay, this is what I gotta do.
Peter's decisiveness in this clip, paired with the horrific details of what police had found in the remains of his home, would likely be shocking to even the most seasoned law enforcement official. They were at a complete loss when it came to explaining how and why this had happened. Only time would reveal the haunting truth. When it came to the video entries, they supplied more than just a record of Peter's thoughts. As it turned out, other entries in the video diary and the accompanying photographs would become the key to tracking Peter.
The police uncover Peter's video diaries, and the arson evidence is chilling. He wasn't just running away, he was erasing his life, his family. The gas cans and homemade explosives show a calculated mind, not just a desperate one. It's infuriating to think firefighters risk their lives not knowing the danger. This case exposes how far someone can go when they feel trapped by their own mind. What drove Peter to this point? Let's see how the investigation unfolds to reveal the full horror.
In fact, it didn't. After assessing the situation, investigators concluded that they were dealing with arson, but that would all change when they made their way into the home and stumbled upon a disturbing discovery. It wasn't a subtle attempt either. The remains of a red gas can were found melted onto the stove, where it had been placed in a skillet to heat up until it ignited. Police found several other gas cans throughout the residence, boxes of ammunition, and a homemade explosive device. Investigators could only assume it was meant to be triggered by the fire in order to destroy the house and everything inside. Had the fire team arrived just a few moments later, it could have gone off while they were on the roof, potentially costing them their lives. Police believed that this evidence was meant to be destroyed in the fire, along with the video diaries, but those items were hardly the most shocking thing they discovered. There were 2 bodies in the bedroom of the Keller home, untouched by the fire. Tragically, the bodies were identified to be those of Lynette and Kayleen Keller. They had both been shot in the head.
Nice. Nice. Look at all that smoke. Oh my gosh.
Okay, make sure you don't touch this,
Okay.
because this gets really freaking hot.
It seems that what Peter's video diaries have been hinting at the entire time was killing his own family.
Part of me has a hard time even imagining doing what I'm going to do. But as I think about it, I always come up to the same conclusion every time. I'm starting to get more okay with it.
Retired Sergeant Cindy West was once again willing to share her thoughts on the tragedy.
I don't think either of them knew it was coming. Again, based on the conversations that we had with friends of both of them, it sounded like he was a loving, great husband. So I think they're both blindsided by it. And, I don't know. This case just racks my brain. There's no way it's ever going to resolve in my brain, because you just think, why? Not only did he kill his wife and his daughter, but based on the friends and neighbors, he had this dog that went everywhere with him, hiking or apparently to go build a bunker, for all these years. And he killed the dog too. He was afraid that the dog would give him away in the bunker. And so he killed the dog too. Again, there's no explanation. I mean, I get that he obviously had some sort of mental illness. Dipstick wasn't hitting the oil with him, but it just makes you shake your head. I've seen a lot of stuff in my career, a lot of bad things. You just shake your head about, sometimes when things happen. But this case really, really got to me.
Learning that Lynette and Ken were shot is devastating. Cindy West's words hit hard. She can't understand it, and neither can I. How does a man kill his wife, daughter, even his dog, then retreat to a bunker? It's a betrayal that cuts deep, showing how mental illness can twist love into violence. The legal system couldn't save them, but it tracked Peter down. As we see the police close in, it's a grim reminder. No one saw this coming, which makes it so haunting.
Inside the bunker is even more shocking than anyone expected.
When our TAC 30, aka SWAT guys, discover the bunker, of course, they surround it and make sure everybody's safe, let everybody know what's going on before they hail to him saying, hey, come on out with your hands up, yada, yada, all that. And it was just a short time after they initially tried to make contact with him that they heard a pop. So they didn't know, did he have an accidental discharge? Was it something else? They didn't know.
When the walls of Camp Keller were finally breached, police discovered that Peter had stayed true to his word and ended his life when faced with capture, soon after the police surrounded his stronghold. Perhaps this was Peter's only intention all along. He wanted to achieve this teenage fantasy of living out underground in the woods before he died, but he had no end game other than his own death.
Well, the fact that he was found was significant. We were worried what he might do to somebody else. If he's, brazen enough to kill his wife and his daughter, then what's he going to do to somebody else? But I think there was a sense of relief that it was over, that he had been not apprehended, but that he was finished with his crime spree, that nobody else got hurt. There was so much potential for injuries to citizens and all the officers involved that it was definitely a sense of relief.
The camp was turned over to King County Department of Natural Resources, who eventually destroyed the bunker.